Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm 31. And at 7 months pregnant, my wife was glowing, right up until my stepfather stood up at her baby shower, grabbed the mic, and shouted, "You're all celebrating, but does anyone know the truth about this baby?" It hit like a shotgun blast in a chapel. And trust me, the aftermath was just as messy. Now, before I get ahead of myself, yes, my wife Karina and I were expecting our first child. Yes, we were thrilled. And yes, her stepfather Greg had always been a walking liability, but we thought we'd taken precautions. Karina made one simple rule for the baby shower: no alcohol. Greg had a drinking problem, mean drunk, cruel drunk. Her best friend Lauren booked this gorgeous little outdoor venue in Pasadena, yellow and mint decor, games, cake, all the usual stuff. It was supposed to be perfect. But the moment I saw Greg step out of the car, glassy-eyed and teetering slightly, I knew something was about to go sideways. He'd been drinking. Early. I watched Karina pull her mom aside. She hissed at him to behave. Her mom, Dorothy, just kept whispering, "He'll be fine, he's just happy for you." That light didn't last long. The party was beautiful at first. My mom gave a sweet speech. Karina's coworkers cracked jokes. We cut the cake, pink inside. "It's a girl." Sophia rose. And then Greg. Greg stood up. He yanked his arm away from Dorothy's grip and grabbed the microphone like it owed him money. "You're all acting so happy. But does anyone want to know who the real father is?" Silence. Everyone turned. My stomach hit the floor. Karina looked like someone slapped her soul out of her. She begged, "Greg, sit down. You're drunk." He didn't sit. He didn't flinch. "Tell them, Karina. Tell them about Andrew from your office." And that's the moment our baby shower turned into a public courtroom. Everyone froze. There's this specific kind of silence that only happens right before a storm breaks, like the moment before glass shatters. That was the room. Stuck. Silent. Breathless. I stood up so fast my chair skidded back across the tile. "Greg, that's enough," I said. He didn't even blink. Just kept pointing at my wife. I saw the messages. He slurred. She left her phone open at Christmas dinner. Andrew. Flirty texts. Late nights. I'm not making this up. Karina's face was crimson, her eyes wide with a mix of horror and rage. "You're lying," she said. "You saw a work chat and twisted it into this sick story." Greg turned to the crowd like a bad actor milking his monologue. "Hey, I'm just saying what everyone's too polite to ask. Don't shoot the messenger." I was already moving toward him, jaw clenched, pulse pounding in my ears. I didn't care that this was a baby shower. I didn't care that there were guests or gifts or cake. This man was dragging my wife's name and my child's paternity through the dirt, in front of everyone. "Give me the mic," I said. "No. Greg," Karina snapped. "Stop this now." And then he said the line that burned the entire event to the ground. "This baby isn't Dominic's. She's been sneaking around with another man. Sophia's not his." There were actual gasps. I could see faces, some horrified, some confused, some skeptical. The doubt was already spreading like black ink in water. One sentence and everything we built, our friends, our family, our moment, was unraveling. Dorothy was sobbing. Lauren was frozen. Rosa, my mom, was clutching Karina like she was made of glass. And the mic? I snatched it out of his hand and hissed, "Get out." But Greg wasn't done. He lunged. Not for me, but for Dominic, my brother, who had moved up to stand between us. The two of them crashed into the gift table. Boxes went flying, hand-wrapped presents, baby clothes, diapers, wipes, all exploding like wedding confetti in reverse. Two of my cousins jumped in to separate them. Rosa held Karina back as she tried to reach me, protect me, do something. Security showed up. People screamed. Kids cried. And Greg? Still shouting as they dragged him away. "Ask her about Andrew. Ask her who's really been in her DMs." Gone. The damage? Permanent. Half the guests left immediately. Others hovered awkwardly, unsure what to say. The room felt radioactive, full of eyes that weren't meeting mine. Whispers, sidelong glances, silent judgments. Karina collapsed into a chair. She was sobbing so hard I thought she might pass out. 7 months pregnant. Humiliated in front of 30 people. Accused of cheating and lying and carrying someone else's baby. Lauren hovered nearby, crying too. "I'm so sorry," she kept saying. I didn't know. "It's not your fault," Karina said through tears. "I should have banned him. I knew he'd do something. I just didn't know it'd be this." Dorothy approached us, mascara streaking her cheeks. "I don't understand. He's never said anything about Andrew before." "Because there's nothing to say. Andrew's a coworker. Nothing else. But Greg doesn't need truth. Just noise. Just poison." We left early, the celebration ruined. That night, back home, Karina curled into me and cried harder than I'd ever seen. "Everyone thinks I cheated," she whispered. "They think Sophia isn't yours. No one who matters believes that," I said. But even as I held her, I knew what she meant. People would wonder. Even if they didn't say it, the seed had been planted. "Let's get a paternity test," she said. I looked down at her. "You don't need to prove anything to anyone." But she was already shaking her head. "I do. I need to kill this rumor before it poisons our entire future." The next morning, she called her mother. "What exactly did Greg see?" she asked. "What texts?" Dorothy was quiet. Then, he said they were flirty. That there were late-night messages. But I didn't see them. He just described them. So that was it. Greg saw a few work messages from Christmas, twisted them in his head, and decided to rewrite our entire life around them. Karina was livid. "I want him to apologize. Publicly." He stood up and accused me of adultery. "He destroyed my baby shower. He needs to fix it." "He won't," Dorothy said. "He doesn't think he did anything wrong." That was the moment something hardened in Karina. "Then he's never meeting my daughter. Karina, you can come see her. But he won't. Not ever." A few days after the baby shower disaster, Karina's phone rang again. It was her boss. "Karina," he said, cautious. "I heard something concerning. HR received an anonymous report about you and a colleague. Something about an inappropriate relationship?" She looked at me, stunned. "Are you serious?" "They asked if there's anything going on between you and someone named Andrew." Her face strained. "No. Andrew's a coworker." "That's it. This is insane. They'll need the messages. For protocol." "Of course they would. HR doesn't deal in feelings, they deal in evidence. And we had it." Karina dug up every last text thread between her and Andrew, meeting times, project notes, calendar links, a few boring emojis, nothing remotely flirty, and sent it all over. HR reviewed it and cleared her. But the damage? Already done. Andrew was furious. Rightfully so. His name was now floating around the office gossip mill. People whispering. Staring. Wondering. Karina called her mom again. "Greg called my job. He's trying to ruin me." "You don't know that." "Yes, I do." "Who else would have done it? Who else hates me and knows Andrew's name?" Dorothy stayed silent. "He's crossed the line," Karina said. "He's not just a drunk uncle embarrassing people anymore. He's dangerous." That night, we called a lawyer. The next morning, a formal cease and desist letter went out. Clear, direct, legally binding. Any further false claims, defamation, or contact will result in legal action. Greg responded the way Greg always did, passive-aggressively. He posted on Facebook. "Some people can't handle the truth. So they lawyer up instead. If you got nothing to hide, you got nothing to fear." He didn't tag her. He didn't need to. Everyone who was at that shower knew exactly who it was about. Luckily, Dominic's brother Nathan is in IT. He screenshotted everything. Timestamped it. Saved every smug, self-righteous word before Greg could delete the post, which he did, 36 hours later. That was enough. We filed a defamation suit. Not an empty threat this time. Actual legal paperwork. Greg got served 3 weeks before Karina's due date. And guess who else was on the paperwork? Her mom. Dorothy called crying. "You're suing us? Your own family?" "I'm suing Greg. You're named because you're his legal spouse. That's how this works." This is going to bankrupt us. Then maybe he should have thought about that before he accused me of cheating in front of 30 people. That was the last conversation they had before the birth. Karina went into labor in early March. 2 a.m. contractions. 8 a.m. epidural. 2:30 p.m. Sophia Rose entered the world, 7 pounds 2 ounces of perfect. She looked like me. Dark hair, same nose, same sleepy expression when she blinked under the nursery lights. We cried. Both of us. It felt like the world finally gave us back something it had tried to rip away. Greg wasn't there. Dorothy wasn't either. Karina never called them. Dominic's family was there, though, Rosa holding her hand, Nathan pacing outside the room like an expectant father himself. 2 days later, as we were prepping to leave the hospital, a nurse knocked on the door. "There's a woman outside. Says she's your mother?" Karina looked at me. "Is Greg with her?" "No," the nurse said. "She's alone. She said she just wants to meet her granddaughter." Karina hesitated. I could see the war in her face. But then she shook her head. "No," she said quietly. "Tell her no." "Are you sure?" She looked at Sophia. Then nodded. "If I let her in, he'll come next. And I'm not starting my daughter's life with poison at the door." The nurse conveyed the message. Dorothy broke down sobbing in the hallway. Security gently walked her out of the building. Karina cried after she left, but it was different this time. Not panic. Not shame. Just grief. The kind that comes when you close a door you really hoped could stay open. The lawsuit kept rolling. Greg tried to paint himself as just a concerned stepfather. Claimed he was exercising free speech. Our lawyer countered with the HR report, the Facebook posts, witness testimonies, and, crucially, a video clip. Lauren had recorded part of the baby shower. Just the beginning of Greg's outburst, but enough to capture the accusation and the mood in the room. The judge saw it. Greg's lawyer folded like a beach chair in a hurricane. 3 months after Sophia's birth, we got a settlement offer, $15,000 and a vague apology. We countered. $50,000. A public written apology. Permanent no-contact clause. They came back with $25,000. We settled at $30,000. Paid in full. Apology posted publicly for 1 full week. The post read, "I made serious and false accusations against my stepdaughter Karina Ramirez. I claimed she was unfaithful and questioned the paternity of her child. These statements were untrue and made while I was intoxicated and not thinking clearly. I apologize to Karina, Dominic, and all who were affected. It stayed up the full 7 days. Then disappeared like it had never happened. We took the money and opened a college fund for Sophia. We never spoke to Greg again. Things got quiet after the settlement. Unnaturally quiet. Greg disappeared from our lives. No calls. No posts. No fake apologies. Nothing. And for a while, we thought maybe, just maybe, that was it. That he'd slink off into whatever dark hole of bitterness he'd crawled out of and stay there. But people like Greg don't disappear. They plot. He just needed time. In the meantime, Karina and her mom began mending. Slowly. Carefully. Dorothy would come by to visit Sophia every few weeks. Always alone. Always bringing gifts. Always taking photos. Just for herself. But we knew where they were going. Greg saw these, didn't he? I asked one day as she left. Dorothy didn't answer. Just avoided eye contact and walked out. Karina didn't push it. But I saw the look on her face. That low simmer. The kind that builds over years, not hours. Still, things felt stable. We bought a bigger place. Karina got promoted. Sophia was thriving, laughing, crawling, clapping for the dog like he was a magician. Then one afternoon, Karina got the call. It was Dorothy. "We're separating," she said. "Greg and I. It's over." Karina's breath caught. "What happened?" "He started drinking again. Bad. Worse than before. And there are things I didn't know. About money. About gambling. Debt. A lot of debt. Greg had racked up thousands in losses. Credit cards maxed. A few shady characters allegedly showing up at the house looking to collect. It explained a lot, honestly. The stress. The paranoia. The need to control something when his own life was spiraling out. I'm sorry, Mom, Karina said. Are you? Dorothy replied. I feel like you've been waiting for this. I'm sorry you're going through a divorce, Karina said evenly. But I'm not sorry you're leaving a man who tried to ruin me. There was a pause. Then, he wants to see Sophia. To apologize. In person. Karina didn't even blink. No. He's her grandfather. No. He's your ex-husband who tried to destroy my career, humiliated me while I was pregnant, and has never said a sincere word in his life. You're being harsh. I'm being a mother. Dorothy started crying. That's not fair. We're a package deal. If he's cut off, so am I. Karina didn't flinch. Then I guess you'll have to decide which package matters more. She hung up. No yelling. No drama. Just silence. And that silence stretched. The divorce was, unsurprisingly, a disaster. Greg fought it every step of the way. Challenged everything. The house. The accounts. Even the furniture. But the worst part? During discovery, Dorothy found out just how deep the financial hole was. Greg had drained savings. Opened cards in both their names. Owed money to people who didn't bother with court. They showed up with threats. And the gambling? Way worse than anyone knew. Sports betting. Poker. Casino nights that blurred into mornings. He was spiraling before the baby shower. Now it made sense, the need to shift blame. To create chaos. If he could make Karina look bad, maybe no one would see his collapse. Once the divorce finalized, Dorothy moved into a small apartment across town. She still came to visit Sophia. Still brought gifts. Still never mentioned Greg. Until one day, Karina finally asked, You still talk to him? Yes, Dorothy admitted. He's in AA. He's trying. He's not well. Good for him, Karina said. But he doesn't get a redemption arc in my daughter's story. You're very unforgiving. I'm very protective. That was the last time they spoke about him. Fast forward. Sophia's now 5. She's got a baby brother, Lucas, born last year. Another pregnancy. Another baby shower. This one? Drama-free. Beautiful. Peaceful. Everything we hoped the first one would be. But as we lit the candles on Sophia's 5th birthday cake, I saw Karina step outside to take a call. It was her mom. She handed me the phone, face unreadable. I took it. It was Greg. Hi, he said. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. You're right. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Really sorry. For everything. I waited. Nothing else came. No explanation. No excuses. No self-pity. Just silence. Good, I said. I hope you stay sorry. And far away. I'd like to meet Sophia someday. When you're ready. You'll never meet her, I said, my voice even. There is no someday. And I hung up. Karina didn't ask what he said. She didn't need to. We watched Sophia chase balloons across the yard. She was laughing. Free. Safe. Exactly how it should be. Greg didn't take silence well. He never had. Even when Karina was a teenager, he would bait her into fights just so he could win them. Control them. Bend them. So after 5 years of being iced out, after no hospital visits, no photos, no updates, Greg tried a different route. He sent a letter. Not to Karina. To Sophia. It came in a pink envelope with glittery stickers on the front. No return address. Just a card inside, written in childishly neat block letters. Dear Sophia. I'm your grandpa. I love you so much. I hope I can meet you one day. Love, Grandpa Greg. Karina froze when she read it. She turned it over in her hands 3 times, then held it up to the light. I watched her stomach sink. This came to our daughter, she said. Not us. Not me. Her. She pulled the envelope back out. The handwriting on the address line? Definitely Greg's. The postmark? Same city he lived in. He found our address. It felt like a violation. Not because it was threatening, but because it was sneaky. Slippery. Like everything else Greg ever did. He was trying to wedge himself into Sophia's world before we could stop him. Karina sat down hard. He's trying to play the victim again. He knows exactly what this is. He wants me to look like the cruel one for keeping her from her loving grandfather. We agreed on one thing immediately. We weren't responding. No thank you. No closure. Just a shredder. But 2 weeks later, the second card came. Same glittery envelope. Same oversized handwriting. This one had a folded photo inside, a picture of Greg as a kid with a note. Your mommy knew this version of me. I miss her. I miss you too, even if we've never met. Karina didn't cry. She didn't scream. She calmly walked into the kitchen, opened the junk drawer, pulled out a lighter, and burned the letter over the sink. She watched it curl into ash with the same expression she used when checking Sophia's homework, detached, deliberate. That's when we decided, enough. I contacted our lawyer again. Can we add a no-contact clause to the original settlement? Too late, he said. That ship sailed 5 years ago. But there's another option. He walked us through filing a protective order. Not because Greg was threatening violence, but because this was targeted. Unwanted. Repetitive. And it was directed at a minor. Judges don't take kindly to people contacting kids directly behind a parent's back, our lawyer explained. Especially with a documented history of harassment. We filed. And Greg? He responded exactly how we knew he would. He showed up at the courthouse, unshaven, suit jacket too big, hair slicked back like a car salesman, and stood in front of a judge claiming he was just trying to build a relationship with his granddaughter. She deserves to know where she comes from, he said, with full fake remorse. But our lawyer brought receipts. The baby shower video. The HR complaint documentation. The settlement papers. The envelopes with handwriting analysis. And the kicker, a statement from Dorothy, confirming he had no permission to contact Sophia and had never once expressed remorse directly to Karina. The judge didn't even hesitate. Protective order granted. No contact. No letters. No photos. No gifts. Nothing. Violation equals criminal offense. Greg stood there red-faced, biting his cheek. He didn't argue. Didn't apologize. He just left. Karina didn't smile. She didn't feel victorious. She just looked tired. I just want to raise my kids without him finding cracks in the wall, she said. That's it. That's all I want. And for the next year, she finally got that. We were finally settling into peace. Sophia was thriving in kindergarten. Lucas had just started babbling full words. Karina returned to work part-time, and I had finally stopped checking the mailbox like it might explode. For nearly a year, Greg stayed gone. No letters. No calls. No creeping around the edges of our life. It was quiet. Too quiet. And then came the betrayal, not from Greg this time. From Dorothy. It started with a family barbecue. Nothing special, just burgers, sodas, kids running through sprinklers. Dorothy had been back in our good graces for a while. Visiting alone. Respecting the boundaries. Bringing books for Sophia, Legos for Lucas. She was putting in the work. And then Karina opened her phone one night and saw it. A Facebook post. A photo. Of Sophia. Smiling. Sitting on a picnic blanket at the barbecue that afternoon. Posted by Dorothy. And in the comments? She looks just like Greg at that age. So glad he's finally getting to know his grandbaby. He's glowing with pride. What a beautiful family. Karina just stared. She didn't speak. Didn't blink. She scrolled through the likes. Familiar names. A few from Greg's old poker buddies. One of his cousins. A woman he'd once introduced as a business partner, but who we all knew had spent 2 years ducking his debt collectors. The caption? Family is healing. Sophia and her grandfather. Finally reunited. There was no photo of Greg in the post. But the comments made it clear. He had been there. Karina was shaking. Not crying, shaking. I trusted her, she said softly. I told her the one boundary I would never bend. And she snuck him in. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. I was so angry I couldn't speak. Greg had violated the order. That was obvious. But Dorothy? She had facilitated it. enabled it, and then posted about it like it was a miracle. I checked the timestamp. The post had been up for hours. Dozens of likes. Dozens of comments. And not a single warning call from Dorothy. No heads up. No apology. Nothing. Just pride. Karina got up, walked outside, and called her. She put it on speaker. Dorothy picked up on the third ring. Hi, sweetie. Karina's voice was ice. You lied to me. What? You brought him near my daughter. You brought Greg to my house. There was a pause. Then Dorothy's voice cracked. He didn't come in. He stayed across the yard. I thought maybe it would be okay. Just to see her. Just once. You lied to my face. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you. Karina laughed. It was short, bitter, and hollow. That's the definition of a lie, Mom. He's her grandfather. He's nothing. He's a man who humiliated me in public, tried to ruin my career, made me question my own reality while I was pregnant. And now he's violating a legal order. I just thought. You didn't think at all. You thought about what he wanted. Not what I said. Not what Sophia deserves. You can't keep her from her family. You're damn right I can. And I will. Dorothy's voice rose. I'm her grandmother. You can't erase me. You're not the one I'm erasing. Karina said. You made your choice. Again. She hung up. No goodbyes. Just silence. I stood there, holding Lucas, trying to keep my hands from shaking. You think she let him take a picture? I asked. Karina didn't answer. But we both knew the answer already. The next morning, we were in our lawyer's office by 9 a.m., sharp. Karina had the printout of Dorothy's Facebook post folded in her purse like a legal grenade. It was already deleted, but Nathan had pulled the metadata and saved the full thread. Timestamped, geolocated, liked by half a dozen people we could track. Our lawyer, Diane, scanned it once and set it down carefully. This violates the protective order. Karina nodded. I want it enforced. And the grandmother? Karina didn't hesitate. She knew what she was doing. She orchestrated this. I want her off the visitation list. Diane folded her hands. You understand this might sever ties permanently. Karina blinked, slow and steady. That tie snapped the second she brought a dangerous man near my daughter and posted about it like it was some heartwarming Hallmark moment. We filed. 2 days later, a court date was set. Emergency hearing. I don't think Dorothy believed we'd actually go through with it, until she was served the notice in person, standing outside her apartment with a bag of groceries. She called. Karina didn't answer. Next came the texts. Dozens. Then an email. Then a handwritten letter delivered by certified mail. It started with, Karina, please. I'm so sorry. I made a mistake. He just wanted to see her. I thought if you saw how gentle he was. It ended with, this will destroy our family. We didn't reply. The day of the hearing, I held Lucas in the hallway while Karina walked into that courtroom alone, steady as ever. Dorothy was already seated, clutching her purse in her lap like a shield. Greg didn't show. His lawyer entered a statement on his behalf, some we claim about mistaken identity, that the photo was misinterpreted, that the caption didn't confirm anything. Diane shut it down with metadata, screenshots, and Dorothy's own replies to the comments. We requested a formal extension and expansion of the protective order, to include any third parties acting on Greg's behalf. Dorothy spoke. She looked tired. Older. Not frail, just worn down in that way people get when they've been pretending they're fine for too long. I never meant to hurt my daughter, she said, voice thin. I thought I was helping. I thought seeing Sophia might help him change. Did you understand that this violated a court order? The judge asked. Dorothy nodded slowly. Yes. I didn't think anyone would find out. That was it. That was the moment. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I was wrong. Just, I didn't think anyone would find out. The judge ruled immediately. The protective order would now include all family members acting as intermediaries. Dorothy was barred from unsupervised contact with our children until further notice. Any violation would result in criminal contempt charges. As we walked out of the courtroom, Dorothy tried to reach for Karina's arm. She pulled away. Goodbye, Mom. Dorothy didn't follow us. She just stood there, in the echo of the marble hallway, watching her daughter disappear down the steps with her grandchildren and everything she'd just lost. Time passed. The kind of time that doesn't announce itself with milestones, but with peace. With quiet. With kids laughing in the backyard, Karina humming while making pancakes, Sophia's crayon drawings taped to every surface of the fridge. With no texts. No letters. No Greg. Dorothy stayed gone. We didn't block her. We just stopped replying. Sometimes I'd catch Karina looking at her phone a little too long after a news alert. Sometimes she'd scroll back to old photos of her mother holding baby Sophia, back before the fractures, before the betrayal. But she never reached out. She had nothing left to say. One afternoon, Sophia, now 6, came home from school with a family tree assignment. I need to draw all my grandparents, she said cheerfully, laying out construction paper and grabbing crayons. Can you tell me their names again? Karina knelt beside her and pointed. This is Grandma Rosa. This is Grandpa Richard. And this is Grandma Dorothy. Sophia looked up. What about Grandpa Greg? I saw Karina's jaw tense. She didn't answer immediately. Then, you don't have a Grandpa Greg, honey. Sophia blinked. But didn't he send me a letter? Karina looked at me. Then back at Sophia. Yes, he did. But that doesn't make him your grandpa. Why not? Because being family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up. Who's there when you need them? Who protects you, even when it's hard? Sophia paused. Then nodded, as if that made perfect sense. Okay, she said. Can I draw Grandpa Richard with a cowboy hat? You better, Karina said, grinning. He'd be offended if you didn't. Karina never reopened the lawsuit against Greg. She didn't need to. The protective order held firm. He never violated it again. Eventually, we heard through the grapevine, mostly through Diane, his old lawyer, who switched firms, that Greg had moved out of state. Arizona, maybe. Rumor was he was still in AA, living small. No family nearby. Good. Let him find peace without proximity. Let him stew in the consequences he marinated himself in. Dorothy sent birthday cards for 2 years. No return address. Just notes in careful script, photos of kittens or cartoon bears holding balloons. Karina never opened them. Just placed them in a shoebox in the back of her closet. I'm not throwing them away, she once told me. But I'm not letting her in either. And I understood. Some wounds don't bleed. They just seal shut. Scar tissue. Thick. Permanent. When Sophia turned 8, she asked the question we'd been waiting for. Why don't we see Grandma Dorothy anymore? Karina sat down beside her. Because she made a choice that hurt me very deeply. And when people do that, when they show you they can't be trusted, you have to protect yourself. Even if it means walking away. Sophia thought about that. Do you still love her? Karina smiled sadly. I think I always will. But love doesn't mean letting someone hurt you again. Will I ever meet her? Maybe. When you're older. If you want to. But only if you want to. Sophia nodded. She didn't ask again. Lucas turned 4 last spring. He doesn't remember anything but calm. But he once pointed to a framed photo on the bookshelf, an old family Christmas picture from years ago, before everything fell apart, and asked, Who's that man? Karina looked at the photo. Greg, arms folded, standing behind the couch, fake smile frozen forever. She bent down, kissed Lucas's hair, and said, Nobody important, sweetheart. And left it at that. The $30,000 from the defamation suit? It sat untouched in Sophia's college fund for years. Until Karina had a flash of inspiration. We used $1,500 of it to enroll Sophia in a summer art camp. She fell in love with it, paint, clay, stop motion, everything. The next year, we used another $1,000 for Lucas's preschool tuition. He came home reciting the alphabet like a Broadway performance. The rest? Still untouched. We always called it the Greg money. But now we call it something else. The rebuilding fund. Because that's what it was. Not revenge. Not punishment. Rebuilding. A fund for what Greg tried to destroy, but couldn't. Our peace. Our family. Our joy. Sometimes I wonder if Greg still tells people his version of events. If there's some dusty bar in Tucson where he drinks soda water and mutters to anyone who will listen, "They cut me out. They made me the villain." And maybe we did. But the thing about villains is, they always write their own parts. We just refuse to let him keep directing the show. To anyone out there with a toxic parent, step-parent, or family member who weaponizes truth to control you, you don't owe them space. You don't owe them silence. And you sure as hell don't owe them access to your children. If someone shows you who they are, believe them. Then build your life without them in it. You'll be amazed how much lighter it feels. Karina was right. Blood is not love. Love is protection. Love is boundaries. And we're doing just fine.